What's up guys, I'm coming back to you today with another home improvement project. Today we're doing some electrical work and I thought I'd show you a quick tip on how to fix an outlet that is loose on the wall. Alright guys, so what I'm actually working on here, we're actually up in a upper cabinet, and this is where a microwave is going to get plugged into. And you can see on this outlet that when the installer cut the hole for this outlet, cut the hole in the back of the cabinet, the hole got cut a little bit too big. That's not an uncommon problem at all, and the result is that the ears of the outlet, which should be making contact with the back of the cabinet, you can see on the bottom it's making a little bit of contact, but on the top it's actually loose. So as a result, if you put a plug-in in there, if you plug something in there, you move that around, it's not tight at all. Now this is kind of an unusual spot up here in the microwave cabinet, but it's a good example. This happens a lot of different places actually. I've had it happen just with new drywall, or I've had it happen if you have a tiled backsplash. And the backsplash will get cut a little bit too wide. There's a lot of different circumstances when this can happen. So I'll show you what I do to quickly and easily resolve the situation. I've seen a lot of different variations on how to deal with this. I've seen wood shims placed back there. I've seen a big stack of washers put back there. But basically what we need to do is we need to get a flat surface between the back of the outlet. This could be a switch as well. In this case, obviously an outlet, but we need to make contact between the back of the outlet, the metal, I call them the ears, but the metal actual plate of the outlet, all the way back to the actual wall box, the actual junction box that the outlet is in. So we're going to loosen this up. And I will say, make sure that when you're doing any work around electricity, make sure that you turn off the breaker. Keep yourself safe at all times. Okay, so we need just two things to rectify the situation. The first thing that we need, and I've already actually installed these, I put this in before, and that's longer screws. So what these are, this is just a machine screw, and these are actually, if you can see that, those are number 6 by 32, and they're 1.5 inches long, the round head machine screws. I do that because it's the same thread that comes with an outlet. Now, typically, out of the box, an outlet or a switch, that's only 3/4, I think that's 3/4 of an inch, is how long that screw is. So in this circumstance, since we have to extend farther into the wall, that screw by itself can't reach. So when I first put this outlet in, I went ahead and removed those, and I put in some of these longer 1.5 inch screws. 1.25 inches a lot of times will work. In this case, 1.5 inches was good because it's pretty far in there. So the other thing that you need, and you can pick these up at any home improvement store, make sure that you get the kind that have the flat back on them. They also make ones that are like a panhead screw that have like a beveled back. You want to make sure it's got the flat head on it like that. The other thing that you need is just some cheap 1/4 inch tubing. This is, I don't know, $2 or $3 at any home improvement store, and I always make sure that I have some of this in a toolbox because I use it in different ways, but you'll see how handy it is to actually use in this application. So very simply, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tubing, I'm going to take a cutter, I'm just using a wire stripper here, but any kind of a cutter, and I'm just going to roughly estimate, I'm holding it up to the box in the back, and I'm just going to roughly estimate, I'll just put my finger on there and approximate how far it is from the box to the front of the cabinet here that we need to basically make up the difference. And I'll just mark that with my finger. I'll take my cutter and I'll just cut off a piece of that tubing. And I'll check and make sure that's going to be sufficient for the top. And it is, so I'll cut another one. It's actually a hair on the long side, but that's okay. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to use these little pieces of tubing to make up the difference between the outlet box and the back of the outlet here. And that's going to give us a firm, it's rubber, so it's flexible, so the length doesn't have to be perfect. It'll kind of squish in. Better to be a hair too long than too short. But it'll give us a firm enough surface that it'll hold that outlet in place. And then once we put the cover plate on there, it'll be perfectly rigid enough. And again, this is a unique situation with the microwave cabinet, but this will work perfectly fine with any wall outlet. I've used this many times in a lot of different applications. So you want to put your screw on first, and then slide the piece of rubber tubing over there. And sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to keep the tubing on, find the screw holes. And again, make sure you've got your power off. I'm being a little bit cautious here because I actually have the power on so I can have some light. As long as you don't touch the terminals, you're safe, but I highly recommend that you turn the power off before doing any kind of a electrical related project. So just screw those in. Now, you can see before that was wobbling all over the place, and when you'd go to plug something into it, it was completely loose. Now you can see plug it in. It's just basically the normal amount of wiggle that you would have with any outlet. And when you put a plate on there to trim that out, that's going to be nice and stiff, and you'll have no problems with that. So there you go. That's the easiest way that I found to support the back of a switch or an outlet when you've got a loose cavity or you've got an oversized hole like that. I've done this many times. I've never had a problem with it. It's the quickest way. It's the, I don't know, probably the cheapest way. Definitely the quickest way and the easiest way to do this. So if you run into this situation, it might look like it's going to be a difficult thing to resolve, but it's really not. As you can see, it takes me just a couple minutes and you'll knock it out and you'll be on to the next one. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. If you did, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.